Alright, so following off from last week's update where my torch coral was dying, I'll get to that in just a few minutes, but first I want you to see the new fish that I got. Actually, I got two of them. This is a peacock wrasse. As you can see, it's got really nice colour. I spent £40 I think on him, which is a little pricey, but definitely worth it. I mean, look at the colour and the pattern, and this is when it's, it's in a bag at the moment, which is the time where the fish is really stressed, its colour's going to be down, and so it's going to get even more colourful, which we'll see in just a few minutes. And this is the second fish that I got, which is my first blenny, and lawnmower blenny or algae blenny. They got their name from ferociously eating algae, and I've got a few bits of hair algae in here that hopefully it should nip at. So I'm just filming here in really high whites. The LEDs are on like 100% white and 0% blue, so that's why it's looking really white in the tank, just so you can see the fish nice and clearly. So how I acclimate the fish is I just float the bag for about 5 minutes or so, just to get the temperature up, and then I open the bag and I put them into a bucket, just a small little 5 litre bucket. I put them both in there together. And then every about 3 to 5 minutes, I'll get half a jug of tank water, and put it into there to slowly acclimate the salt to the right level and the temperature. And I continue that for about 15 to 20 minutes. So I don't acclimate for that long. Some people do it for like 24 hours and stuff. With coral, I always just chuck it in. I don't really acclimate coral at all, barely any, like never. So, but with fish, it's a little bit different. So I acclimate them for 20 minutes to half hour, and I just dump them in. So I just sunk the bucket a little bit in there, and then I kind of just slowly tip them out. And the first one, very eager to get out the bucket, which was the algae blenny. I didn't hide away straight. Actually, I could always see it. Never, hid away underneath the rock for a few days. It was just straight out, which was great. It just went in that middle bit there. And the second fish, so you can see the colour on that fish, peacock wrasse, that went under the sand for literally 10 minutes, and then it came out straight away, which is rare. About 1 in 100 wrasse would probably do that. Just come out straight away first day, especially a wrasse as well. Quite a fussy wrasse, and it was eating spectrum. Both of them actually were eating spectrum pellets on the first day. It's feeding and out on the first day, which it's rare for fish to do that, especially a wrasse as well. I really was expecting it to be under the sand for about a week or so, but nothing at all. Well, just under the sand for 10 minutes, but it came straight back out, so which is I'm really happy about. And yeah, they've been getting on fine. Absolutely no aggression with any of the other fish. Alright, so here's the tank just about a week later. What the footage you just saw was a voiceover on some footage I got a week ago, just introducing the fish. So here's a week later, and yeah, as you can see, they both get on fine. Well, they get on fine with everything. Algae blennies out the front all the time, which is great. I just fed, that's where the flow's off at the moment, and just to see the corals nice and expanded. So I think my new favourite fish definitely has got to be this peacock wrasse, just because the pattern and the colour is out all the time. It's definitely my favourite fish, brilliant fish that is. Let's get a close up on this guy. A little bit camera shy, but most fish are. The Neoko wrasse really is camera shy. These two aren't at all. I guess they're used to it. I've had these, well, I've had the damselfish for about a year now. Same thing with the clownfish, they're completely fine with it. It just takes some time to get used to, the camera being on every week. So I hope you guys like the new fish. Now I need to move on to the main bit of the video, which is continuing from last week's update, which was on the torch coral. And can you guys spot it? I can. Ready? I think it's that dead thing right there. That's what's left of the torch. There's no flesh, nothing living on it. It's just the skeleton, completely dead, which is annoying really, because I've had that coral for quite a while, and it's one of those corals which particularly in this area, isn't one of the easiest corals to get hold of. So I'm going to have to try and replace that when I can. Well, not at the moment, because my phosphates are struggling at like 0.01. Ridiculously low, but at least it's a trace. We've got something in there. It's better than 0. A week ago it was 0, but now we've got a little bit of trace, so it's starting to slowly climb up. That stuff I've been dosing has really been working. So here it is, the Tropic Marine, pretty much like nutrient dose. It's basically dosing in nutrients. And well, nitrate is still fine. I did that is still looking at about the 1 mark, which is kind of like where I need it. If anything up to in between 1 and 10, to be honest, is fine for a mixed reef tank. Just don't want them too high, because I don't want algae starting to populate everywhere. And I'm continuing to do the stuff that I'm doing. So I'm dosing that to help with the nutrients, and I'm also feeding very heavy 1 block of brine shrimp meat foods per day, plus like 3 to 4 feeds of spectrum pellets. So really heavy feeding, to be honest, overfeeding, which I need to raise these nutrients. The skimmer is now on, but on quite a very low setting, to make sure there's plenty of oxygen in the tank for the fish. Because that's the only reason it's on. It's on a low setting, but it's not taking out much at all, which I don't really want it to. Because nutrients are still really low. And if you guys have a look in here, actually no, I'll take the net cover off. So you can see in here the floss pad is out. Well, there was 1 sponge and a little bit of like, it's kind of like cotton wool, that kind of stuff. And there's a little wave pump in there. That's the old Jecod pump, which is it's very slow, but I don't need it heavy power. It's just to help with it, you know, flow into the biological. I don't want them getting clogged up. So if there's not much flow in there, they, you know, all the stuff that goes down into the overflow will really get settled in there and wedged in between all the holes. But if there's always constant flow in there, then it won't be able to settle and get trapped in there, which I really do not want in the future. And the skimmer, as you can see, it's puffing through, you know, bubbles. It's really very foamy. I'm gonna have to empty that out after I've done this video. And I got 100 comments saying in the last video that the torch coral was getting way too much flow. So the wave pump, well, it's dead now, so it don't really matter. But the wave pump is now over here, pointing towards the surface to give the surface a little bit more agitation, and you get more shimmer in the tank, which looks really nice. And the hammer, I'm going to see how this gets on with the slightly higher flow. It's still expanding well, but if you give these hammers too much flow, they start to shoot in and stuff, which I don't want. And this Duncan might be a little bit too much flow. I'm still adjusting it slightly every now and again. Of course, that'd be a shock to the corals a little bit, changing flow, changing. So if you change something in the tank, even if it's just something really small, it can affect the corals. The GSP, well, no, it's not GSP. Green Hystrix is polyp shot in, so it's not glubby at all. Pink Hystrix doing quite well. Will be doing well because the wave pump is literally, it was in that corner facing down, blasting both those corals. So they should do really well now. Now it's not getting too much flow. It was getting way too much flow then. The acros that are from my dad's tank are still brown. They're not doing particularly well. I'm going to have to say that out later on as well. That barley slime are completely dead. Blue Digi's doing fine. Taraki's doing okay. Most of it's dead, but there is still 1 branch trying to come back. So we'll see how that gets on. And this acro is still, doing the same. Browned out, no colour, not growing. So we're going to have to wait and see. But my dad is virtually ready to take these corals back into his system. Which will be nice. So what I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to turn the flow back on. There we go. That's just the wave pump on its lowest setting, 800 litres an hour. So it's getting some nice surface vegetation there. Plenty, and that's on the first start, you know. So I usually have it on, as you can see it here, I usually have it on about 4-ish half power, which is still about 4,000 litres an hour. So probably just over. So I don't want to blast the corals. It's a mixed reef tank, so it's not just. So if I just put that back down to 1. I don't want to give the LPS corals too much flow. It's important you don't give LPS corals way too much flow. This particular Zoa hasn't been doing great with the new flow change, but that should adjust very soon. Duncan, can you see it's kind of kicked over, and that's on the first dot as well. That's why I think I might need to still keep on adjusting the flow. And I'm surprised these acans, I have some news about these acans as well. They're actually starting to grow. It's only been a year, so, you know, give it another year, probably expand one more head. Can't believe this thing's actually starting to grow. It's been a year I've had this coral, and it's only just starting to grow, which is very surprising. I thought it'd start in the first week, but, you know, been through a lot. That acan, I guess it was getting way too much flow in the little tank, but since I moved it into here, it was doing okay, but it's slowly adjusted, but it's now doing really well. Now the tank's actually struggling with nutrients, it starts to do suddenly really well, which is a bit weird. So I'm gonna have to leave this update here. Next week will probably have to be another update, see how things are doing, see how nutrients are doing. And I'm still on the hunt for some more fish. Would like some more wrasses, possibly a file fish, as I do have some aptasias in here which I would like to get rid of. So we'll see how things go, what I can get hold of, and I'll see you guys, well, hopefully you'll see something new maybe next week. So yeah, you'll see a tank then. Bye.